Hi there, Steen.
Hi there, Valentin.
It's actually an unexpected conversation, but let's start with the beginning. Who are you and what you're doing on this planet? We had this chat about being a pirate or joining the Navy.
Yeah, so Steen Rasmussen used to be, when I signed up to speak here at How to Web, I was a director of data innovation at IIH Nordic. But from I signed up to I showed up, I kind of sold my share and moved on. So now technically I'm a fractal pirate.
All right.
Yeah, so inspired by some conversations at Michigan, London, but also a quote by Steve Jobs where he talked about it's better to be a pirate than it's better to be a pirate than join the Navy, and then where the main idea is saying that by being joining the Navy, you conform to somebody else's, you live by the rule, you're working in an organization, everything is given, you get your pay for following the rules, whereas a pirate, you make your own rules, and if you're lucky, you get paid.
Is only luck?
No, it's of course talent and reading the seas and everything, right? So a lot more than luck.
Anyways, yeah, I was just playing with you. So Steen, let's focus a bit on this future of work. You've been running a company, you've been seeing data, you've been analyzing data, you've been at the forefront of, let's say, innovation, tech, data tracking. How do you see the future unfolding for pirates and also for the Navy, the ones that are joining the Navy?
Yeah, I think so in the bigger picture, I think it's going to be a much bigger challenge because what I see the navies are doing right now is they're basically laying people off to make a bigger profit, and the challenge, of course, is that if you look at Google, if you look at every day there's a big company that has laid a ton of people off, right? And it's not necessarily because they need them; it's because they're delivering value to the shareholders. Right, so
they are doing what they are supposed to do according to their
according to the Navy mandate. Yeah, but it doesn't. And since it doesn't require people, then they get rid of the people because then they can deliver more money to the shareholders. But so there's a double challenge in that because all the people who used to be there will not be other ships and navies they can board. They will have to kind of invent their own ships. In that sense, there's going to be a lot more pirates out there.
So way more startups than before, right?
Yeah, actually, and I have the observation here as well at How to Web in the sense that I feel the startup community here is good in the sense that there's a lot of energy in focusing on the startup because the potential of being a startup here is much better than joining the Navy, right? So what you can make of yourself here has a bigger potential than just getting a job because the risk of getting a job, and especially now, well, I had a conversation saying that the thing of job security doesn't really work anymore, right? There is no security in jobs.
There are different mental frameworks, to be honest, and the kids nowadays are so, let's say, they are, if you're a fish, you can't feel the water anymore. So they've been safe from this point of view. They had no problem of finding a job. Therefore, they are not that frightened, which allows them to be either lazy, either, let's say, free to do whatever their passion calls them to do.
But the one thing they're not, well, some of them at least, they're not really used to being in the Navy.
Yeah. Of course, they haven't been, let's say, brainwashed to say so.
Trained,
or trained to be so.
Yeah.
I think the path that we've been, let's say, training ourselves and we've been training our kids as well was to go to school, learn whatever is there. Maybe you'll find something that you love or not. Then you'll go to the high school, then you'll go to the university, and then you'll get a job. And then after you get a job, you'll eventually get a credit to buy a home so that when you'll be maybe 50, 60, you'll own a home and whatever. So I think this journey, this human journey, if we look not at the customer journey, but at the human journey, I think it has some flaws, don't you think? I mean, how do you see it now? You have the luxury of,
Yeah, so I agree. So, and I think what is happening to especially my kids' generation is that they have the curse of not knowing. There was like this a couple of years back. There was a quote that was attributed to Google saying that half of the jobs, even I think 80% of the jobs that our kids were going to get, they were not invented yet. Right. So going in and saying today that, yeah, I want to be a dentist. Well, technically that can be done by robots, better and faster. I want to be a lawyer. Yeah, there's an AI for that. And you get these complications. Most complicated surgery today, or simple surgery today, is now done by robots. Right. So you have there's a lot of career paths that are closing, and so what is coming in place? And I think
are there enough paths opening? That's the question.
And I hope there is too, because that's kind of the curse of the Navy, right? So you can have this saying that there was a story about Adidas moving back to Germany from China, and they told the German government saying, yeah, it's fine, we're going to move all the factories back to Germany, we're going to produce all the shoes in Germany, but you need to be aware that we're not creating one single job in Germany, because everything will be automated. And that's fine. It's fine, but the problem is if you have all the navies run by robots, who has the money to buy shoes?
Yeah.
They need pirates to buy shoes.
Exactly. But it's this interpretation of the world that the humanity has always got away with it, eventually. So we've had this crisis, and somehow the human species made it away with the challenge that they've been in through.
Yeah. But so and that's kind of the positive spin on it. The negative spin is basically there's a couple of horrible scenarios. So one is WALL-E, where we just end up being fat fuckers floating on something.
In space,
Yeah, in space
on a
and
starship.
just getting fed by robots. Then the other one is, technically people signing up to the Matrix. So they can become a human battery, and then they get a life somewhere else where they can...
Yeah. So there are two grim scenarios, to be honest.
No, but and then there's the middle road going in and saying, okay, we're going to find a balance in the sense that the companies will be there, but they need the pirates, and maybe we will get citizen salary, right? So a basic salary, not because the government wants to give it to us, but because the corporations know we need the money to maintain
to buy the
system.
stuff that they are buying, they are selling. However, I think from I'm in the optimization space, and focusing now on this life optimization. So if we are to optimize lives, we have this uncertain territory, uncharted territory where humanity is right now for various reasons, from geopolitical reasons to economic reasons and so on. How is one supposed to optimize life with the data that it has available? Let's pretend that we are 20 anymore. What we would be doing right now? Because it's clear joining the Navy is not an option. Being a pirate, it's a better option because there are uncertain times anyways, and you can join the Navy in 5 years when it's not going to work out for you, right?
Yeah, if you have experience as a pirate, it becomes easier to join the Navy. So having experience, right, becomes a valuable asset, actually having practical experience. And there's kind of from my part, it's like looking back at, there's this quote from Jeff Bezos saying what he was asked, saying, okay, so what will have, somebody asked him about the future, saying, what will have changed in 10 years? And he was saying, it's a good question, but the more important question for running a business and planning is what will not have changed. Right?
Yeah.
And for him saying what will not have changed, people still want fast delivery. They still want low prices. They still want selection. So going in and so instead of
using this framework,
so instead of focusing on what is changing, then accepting what is changing, but then anchoring around what is not changing. Yeah. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, if you think about this, experience economy, you know, that we've got this journey, you know, coming from the industrial age to from agrarian to industrial to then communication, technology. And now we have this experience age where people are looking more for experiences rather than having shelter and having enough money to buy food. So if we think about experience, this experience economy, what can you say about how do you see actually the next experience for human beings? So because it's clear that we've been, let's say, sidetracked by our devices. We have a generation of people which are having 6 to 9 hours a day screen time, and we've just had the first teenager that committed suicide because he got disappointed by his character AI, right? His partner, his virtual AI partner. So how do you see this experience economy unfolding? Will we become trapped in our own virtual realities or not?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it depends on who you are in the system, right? And I think so. So depending on kind of how big a pirate you are or where you are in the Navy, and if you're even in the Navy, I think what's called Yuval Harari talked about at one point down the line, saying that because everything could actually be put on an algorithm, then technically we were all in the future. The people would be split into the valuable and the worthless class. So the valuable class was somebody that could add something to society in general, and the worthless class was kind of just dead weight.
So the polarization is going to be amplified. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Because there will be a lot of people that has no skill set that a robot couldn't do faster and cheaper. And if you're not aware of that, trying to take that into account, saying, what is it that I need to be, what is it that I need to bring to the table, what are the reflections that I need to have in relation to avoid being worthless. And it could be like, okay, painting a creative picture or telling a story in a different way, but it certainly is not sweeping the streets.
Yeah.
Or
I guess this uncertainty level, going back to that quote regarding what's not going to change in 10 years, I think the level of uncertainty is at an all-time high because of that.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you can't get a grip on things, things around you and say this industry is going to last, that industry is going to last, or that company is going to last.
No.
So that's the beauty of what we are experiencing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, and I did a presentation for some kids at one point saying that their biggest curse is that they have so many options that they cannot see where it goes, right? As I said, so they have being a kid today, you can be anything, you can do anything, but the challenge is there's no fucking guarantees.
Yeah, so they will. It was like in that code regarding the fact that startups are not dying out of starvation; they are dying because they have too many opportunities. So basically, they are swallowed by too many opportunities. So they end up drowning into a sea of opportunities because they can't select, focus, and keep their attention into a single, undeniable value that they can bring to the world.
Kind of talk about business attention deficit disorder, like like you have ADHD, but now you have like business deficit disorder because you cannot stop. You keep pivoting, you zigzag your business. And you can survive that to some extent, but you're never going to maximize it. Like we had that at IIH for some years when we talked about our strategy was the drunkard's walk. There's this kung fu style called the drunkard walk where you're not really going in one direction. So if I just wanted to go over here to the camera straight, but you zigzag because that's part of the strategy, but there's not. But if in business, it's more like, oh, there's an opportunity. Oh, there's another opportunity. Oh, and you're still getting forward. It just takes a lot longer time than if you were just going straight ahead. Yeah,
and I think this opportunistic way of chasing the prey, let's say, has an issue because if you've decided that you are after hunting elephants, let's say, you need to keep your attention focused towards the elephants. But in the meantime, you are chasing that elephant and you are hungry. So you are seeing, I don't know, a rat or a rabbit, and you end up chasing all these creatures in the forest, and you will end up dying of starvation without anything. So I think the capacity of making decisions based on the data that it's available, so that you don't end up hungry today, so you can postpone chasing the elephant tomorrow, but for God's sake, it's 8 p.m. and you have this rabbit over here. So basically, it all boils down to the right decision-making system that you're having. And let's focus a bit on how to make better decisions by using data and by understanding the patterns in the data that you have available.
Yeah, so that was kind of what my session was about, looping back to that, right? Talking about decision-making. Where I feel there's been this focus on, over the years, we've just been gathering more and more data. So going in and saying, the one who has the most data when they die wins. And so we're only measured by the volume of data we gathered and not what's been done with it. Where I feel that, well, data, like most other thing, it has a half-life, so it loses value really quickly. So sitting here with you, I know that you might be needing a sweater in a moment because it's a little chilly, but that knowledge in 2 days is worthless. Right? So there's an opportunity right here, right now, and I can tap into, but if I just gather my data and do the analysis, and in a month I say, oh, Valentine needs a sweater, then the likelihood of that leading to anything is actually not extremely low. So we need to focus on and this was kind of the general
present,
thing with data. So instead of just gathering data and then once in a while acting on it, then going in and flipping and saying, okay, I sell sweaters. I really need to be aware every time somebody shows me a signal for they were interested in a sweater, so I can get them a sweater there. So instead of focusing on what?
Flipping the script, actually.
So going in and saying, instead of saying, I want to gather all the data, and then focusing on saying, okay, I have a team of people, each of them have a decision area. I will have conversations with each of them and saying, so what data do you need to make better decisions? What decisions are you making? And how can I help you get that data so you can make your decisions faster and with more confidence?
I wanna share something with you on this front. So it was like 2010, like 15 years ago. I was in Google Analytics. I had no clue about what I was doing. I mean, it was 2010. I own a company. I ran my own e-commerce company back then. I knew that I had a problem, but I couldn't define the problem. The main problem was, of course, we were not making enough money, we were not profitable, whatever. But I found myself, because I was using this thing called rescue time. It allowed me to see how much I'm spending on and on which software I'm using, on which tabs I'm spending most of my time. So I was spending 3 to 4 hours a day for months. I was looking at this thing, and I realized that I'm floating in Google Analytics. I was looking at patterns, like what is the conversion rate by location, but how about the people which are having, I was selling online car insurance, how about the people which are having a BMW, how about the others? And eventually, I got to understand some patterns, like the guys which are having a truck, they are our biggest spenders. So basically, we have like 0.8 of our customers which are making 18% of our revenue. So a lot of money there. So what I'm getting into is that it's not only about looking at the direct data that it's allowing you to make more money or to reach your goal. Sometimes you have to dance with the data, when you're, let's assume this is a dance hall, when you dance, you just dance and you find the right partner, and at some point you don't have to go from this point to the other point. It's not like you have a straight line because you don't have an agenda. So,
but it's kind of two things to that, right? Because so one thing is saying that, well, you might run out of shoes before you find the right dancing partner if you just look around, right? So that's kind of so that could be a challenge, right? Because in general, I actually. Because I've been doing the same thing about going in and there was a company in Denmark, they hired an analyst, and I love to tell the story for a long time until I realized maybe I didn't agree. They hired a guy to be their lead analyst, and his job description was, tell us something we don't know. And it sounds like a super cool job description, but the problem is that if you let me into your data set, there's so many things in there that you don't know that has no value for you.
Complete crap.
Yeah, complete crap. Right? So I feel I'm doing my job because I'm telling you, did you know that people in Norway never surf on a Tuesday? It's like, okay, really great, Steen, that's amazing. But so the focus should be, instead of tell us something we don't know that will improve the business.
Or
right?
Make the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So knowledge in itself, because there's so much knowledge in analytics. So I'm trying to get people to take the step backward and saying, before you log in, write the question down that you want to answer, because otherwise you get, then you do the drunkard's walk in analytics.
Exactly.
You zigzag and you, oh my God, that's a number. How did that number get so low? And then when you log out 6 hours later, you're like, what the hell did I learn? Yeah, exactly.
What I was after, and again, I think this beginning with the end in mind and having these principles and respecting those principles, whether it's analytics work, whether it's, creative work, or whatever kind of work you are doing, you have to respect those principles. I freaking remember them since Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you begin with the end in mind, if you put the first things first, if you do things one at a time, then maybe you'll get somewhere. But let's talk about this beginning with the end in mind. Where do you find the most excitement these days in your work? What is giving you this excitement level?
So where do I want to pirate?
It's like, let's talk about this. So where do you want to pirate?
Yeah. No. So for me, it's basically, I've been thinking a lot in relation to saying maybe that it's some level of different. So one of the things that I see where it gives me a kick is there's telling people something they don't know, or growing them, or expanding their horizons. That's one thing, and then actually connecting some of the dots they already have.
Yeah.
So going in and say, okay, but you don't need more data. You don't need another tool. You don't need these things, because if you actually go in and combine these 3, you can do this.
Yeah.
And this tool you're investing in over here.
Yeah.
Why the hell do you have it? You don't use it, and this tool can do the exact same thing.
So making a difference in life's companies thanks to the data patterns, anomalies that they are not able to see by themselves.
Being the guy that can being the pirate that can go into the Navy and tell them to, they need to change. Yeah.
WTF is this?
Yeah, exactly. So I think from that perspective, it really has good value, right? I believe that there's so massive potential of fucking with the formats, kind of going in and changing the little things that actually saying, so instead of you going to work this way every day, then if you, like you say, if you, you want to start with the end in mind, but what end? What if I go somewhere else? I had a conversation the other day in relations to analytics saying, as an analyst, you need to, every quarter, just make sure that you're still supporting the overall business strategy. Yeah. Because it might be that the company changed strategy and you're still going from the analytics setup done in 2015, because that was set up then, and you're looking at the dashboards and you're looking at all that, but the company is moving a completely different direction and has been for the last 3 years, but you're faithfully giving them reports that are obsolete.
Yeah, I have this issue as well with data analysts in the Navy. that are doing these completely useless reports that nobody is able to leverage down the line. And I think this has a lot to do with the fact that companies are not agile anymore, and they need some disruption, or they need some suffering to wake up to and to realize that, hey, we have a lot of people doing nothing.
But you can also say, so sometimes the analyst is the guy that, I hire you to man the radar, and you're sitting there manning the radar, and it's like, but basically we hit ground 2 years ago. We haven't moved, and you're just sitting there looking at the radar.
Yeah, love it. So, what's the thing that few people are not having on their radar when it comes to, uh, let's say, data insights and leveraging those insights to drive meaningful change?
So I think if it's going to be so sad and you're going to cry, but I think that the thing that the challenge that I see in most organizations is that 9 out of 10 organizations operate under the assumption that their data is correct.
Well, I'm laughing, I'm not crying, but
No, yeah.
I get it.
Because when I go in and I look at companies and I look at their marketing data, for instance, the campaign tracking and setups, it's like...
The attribution.
Attribution, they're like, this is wrong. Come on, guys, of course these people didn't come from here, and like, come on, look at where you spend the budget. Why you spending $6 million on email marketing? Why doesn't anybody come from email? It's like, but...
Yeah.
So actually going in and taking that step backwards and saying, okay, we actually need to stop assuming and just getting verified, because that's actually worse, right? Because then you have the guys manning the radar, sitting there telling you, go left, go right, but in reality the radar is wrong. It's on another ship. So you get this, so you think you're making data-driven decisions, that you're actually, that you're justified in the decision you make, but you're navigating because it's wrong, and it's like, yeah, you didn't know your GPS was set up in
This remembers me about a great quote that I've heard back. I was quite young, from Krishnamurti. So this guy said that nobody is more lost than the one that wrongfully thinks that he's on the right path.
Yeah.
So you can't be more lost than that. Because that creates ignorance, and that creates false assumptions, and that creates justifications. And I also think that maybe the second problem that companies having when it comes to leveraging their data is the fact that there are no, let's say, business and data-driven leaders that are literate enough to use or to ask for the right data.
Yeah.
So there are merely politicians which can navigate the, let's say, corporate navy. And basically they are not winning the war for their companies.
And also in the Navy you will have these reporting system where it will be saying, so you're my boss and I have to tell you something, and my bonus depend on what I tell you. And this guy over here tells me that, I'm asking, so how did the last campaign go? And well, that's it. Well, I'm sorry, my boss, it sucked. And I'm like, well, I cannot show this to Valentin. Give me some better numbers.
Yeah.
And I get better numbers, and I give you better numbers, and you're like, oh, things are going good. And I'm like, yeah. And I think it's just me, but the problem for you is that all your managers around you are doing this, not because they're evil, just because they don't want to lose face, and it's part of their job, and it's part of their self-perception.
Yeah, and their own mission is to keep the seat under their ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So people are magnificently good at protecting their own self-perception. So if I think I'm a badass at analytics, I will do whatever it takes and to keep that understanding of myself.
Yeah, and that's the sad part, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry, Steen, but
No.
yeah, that's sad indeed. So we've been talking a lot about how the world is changing. We've been talking about the Navy, the pirate. We've been talking about decision making, how the data can sustain better decisions, and we ended up focusing on what's wrong with data insights in the Navy, at large companies. What's wrong with the data at pirate ships?
So very often the problem with the pirates is that they don't have any data. So when you start up as a startup, every time you do a pivot, then basically you're throwing all the data you have overboard, right? So saying, okay, but we're not sailing. Stop sailing north. Now we're sailing east. And like, yeah, but we've never been there. Okay, that's fine. We'll chart as we go. So navigating without data, or navigating with a little data, and actually saying, okay, what data sources do I have? Because you will not find, your Google Analytics will not tell you fast enough what's happening. So you need to actually do much more a much more aggressive look at context. What's going on around you? How are other organizations acting? What's happening with them? What are they doing? Not because they're smarter, because very often they're just have just a little data as you, but using them as the data reference point, saying, okay, cool, these guys ran a campaign for this, and then they had to run a large discount campaign, so apparently the first campaign didn't work.
Yeah, I have to address something here, which for me is an important topic, because I have this experimentation mindset. You know, since I was a kid, basically, I'm experimenting with life, and I've built companies. I've had like 17 jobs. I've built 4 companies. I've pivoted a lot into this last company. And what I've noticed by working with clients is that the initiatives that they have towards reaching some goals or objectives are not backed by data, of course, and they don't have this scientific approach like, hey, we have this hypothesis. For God's sake, it's not like I have a crystal ball and I know that if we'll do this campaign, it's going to work. And I also have an issue with the campaign in itself. I mean, when you are doing a campaign, you're doing an experiment, and you have a hypothesis behind the campaign. So structuring this as experiments rather than campaigns, and looking at the success criteria of this experiment, like, hey, we're going to change this because we've noticed that in the data, and we hope that we will get that kind of impact. And we will measure, and this is the thing that many companies are neglecting, we will measure this in 2 months, which is enough time to see the uplift or the whatever thing we are chasing. And that always leaves undocumented. So basically, instead of having this experimentation mindset, basically we do this in our own job. I've built internally a tool exactly for this, you know, so that in the B2B space, for instance, when you run an initiative, you have long sales cycles and you don't know when it's going to impact. So basically, that's the issue, and I think the terminology should be changed from campaigns to experiments, and from experiments that were made 2 years ago to experiments that were documented, and we've got some insights out of them. What is the learning from this failed experiment? Because if it's a learning, there is not a failed experiment.
I mean, you can actually say, so we used this model with customers for a long time, and I think you should actually think it again, but you kind of said, well, there's to any campaign, and this is on the marketing side, there's 2 dimensions now. There's did it achieve the result that we wanted, which was the classic outcome, but also the other one is, what did we learn?
Yeah.
Right? So and very often we only focus on the monetary side. We forget saying that every time we run a campaign, that's actually us being in touch with our customers, and can we learn something new? Did we understand? Did we test something? Did we find out that if one message were better than the other, or how deep analysis do we actually do? It goes back to kind of this framework we call the campaign scene investigation. It was kind of like CSI, crime scene investigation. The idea was that all campaigns were murdered, so you had to figure out who did it. Because we are very good at celebrating that now the campaign is over and then it delivered good results. But we're not really good at dissecting and say,
understand why was a good campaign?
Why was it a good campaign? What failed and what was a success and what did we learn, right?
Well, I guess we're also on this learning curve, and maybe humans will be still needed in the future to basically process things in a different manner. I want to thank you for this session, Steen.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful, and I thank you, audience. It's been super cool.
Have a good one.
Thank you.